All right, this is going to be a quick addendum to our last 11 rack automation video. Be sure to watch that video first, otherwise you are not going to understand what we are doing here. Okay, so there were a couple things in that last video that I didn't cover thoroughly, and I want to make sure we cover them here right now. Okay, so the first thing I want to cover is, remember that in that last video, whenever we were using our control board to record in that data to a MIDI track, right? We went ahead and chose the controller numbers first. Now, the reason I did that, it was so you could actually see everything being recorded. Now, you don't actually have to do that. Now, I did make a call out in that video saying you didn't have to actually choose the number first. Okay, but let's go ahead and just show it here. So we'll just leave this on all. Again, it could be on 11 rack. I'm not going to explain it here. If you want to know, watch that first video. All right, so as we can see here, we do have number 4, which is the position data, but we don't have, say, the bypass. We don't have any of the other numbers in this list right here, for like the mod, on, off, delay, reverb, so on and so forth. But as long as we are capturing our input device, which, this board is plugged into the 11 rack via MIDI cables. Okay, I'll just leave it on all, but you could choose 11 rack there. Okay, so now watch what happens. Again, keep in mind controllers, see what's in there right now. Now watch what happens. I'm going to hit record. We'll just leave this on clips. We're going to discuss clips here in a minute, but we'll just record. We're not going to hear any audio examples in this video, okay? But we'll just hit record here. I just want to show you the data. So it's recording this MIDI track. You can see that our wah pedal's moving. Let me turn it off, turn it on. Now, we're not seeing any data being recorded here, which is why I actually, showed those lanes first. We chose those numbers first. Let me hit another button. Say the amp bypass there. Okay. Now we'll just hit stop. Take that off of record. At the beginning, hit play, and you're going to see all of this stuff start to happen. Okay. Now we're not seeing it here. Again, that's why we chose the lanes first. So we can actually see this stuff happening. See there, the wall's going off. And then down here, some other automation takes place. We don't need to see it. So there's the delay coming on, right? Okay, now if we use this drop down, or again, we can use our lanes here. But I'll just use this drop down, come down here to controllers, and now look, our list has expanded. So those numbers were actually added automatically for us whenever we used, our MIDI control board. Okay, very important to realize that. So if you can see a clip here, that's going to mean more than likely there's some sort of data on that track. Now that clip would exist if there was no actual automation data. It would still be there because we recorded. But just realize if you're, if you're on clips view or blocks view and your 11 rack is responding weird and you're saying, well, I don't see any data. Well, there can be data there. So use your drop down, come down here to controllers. And now we can see we have all of these other numbers that were thrown in there. So here's 11. So right there, 111, you can see that's our on off data for the amp right there is going on and off, bypass, on and off there. And of course we can see our other data down here. So what's 64? That's not one that we used. 28. There we go. That's some data that we recorded in there for the delay on off. Okay. And of course we can use these drop down lanes to show those now. There's 28. Use another lane and 111. So there's all that data that we recorded. Now let me put this first display on clips because this is going to be very important, because in that last video you may have remembered that we just use, let me expand this out a little bit. We use this minus button. I talked about if you use this minus button, you're going to have to, reset up that track. That is true, but as you can see, if I hit play, we're still going to be getting all the reactions going on, because by using that minus button, it doesn't actually get rid of any of the data. It's still there. So hit plus, we can go to say 111, which we have there. Let's go to 28. So there's 28. So even if I hit minus, then plus, and go back to 28, you can see it's still there. So hitting that minus does not delete the data. I wasn't clear in the last video. So it's very important for you to realize that hitting that minus sign removes the automation lane, but the automation is still contained within this master clip for this MIDI track. Okay, very important to realize that. So just doing that pretty much hides it. It doesn't make it go away. You'd actually have to, grab it and delete it. Okay, so those are two concepts that I didn't explain thoroughly in the last video about you don't have to actually choose the number first if you're going to, draw your automation in with, your pedal board. You can choose them first if you want, but they should anyway show up in the list, at least in Pro Tools. If you have a different DAW, that may be different. The next thing I need to cover is let's choose something that we have automation on. So here's automation here. That's our foot controller data right there. And you can see how long this clip is. That means we have data that we recorded out a bit further. We can choose something else that we might have. It's 28 right there. Okay, so I'll move this over. Now you can see on our clip, as long as this is on clips or blocks, we can actually grab this and move it. So now if we play from here, you see we're not responding to any automation because all of this data is contained within this clip. So if we move the clip, automation moves with us. So it's very important to realize that if we move that master clip there or block, it's going to move all of that automation for all of the automation on this track. Now, if we had data down here, I'll just, grab something here and draw some in. I move the clip on MIDI track 1. It's not going to move this down here. Okay. And also I'm on Windows, so I'll hold down Alt, click and drag. Now I've duplicated that data over here. Pretty cool. And of course, even if it's folded up or on clips or blocks view, we're not seeing the data, but the data is within this clip. So I hit play, you can see it's showing up. Pretty cool. Now, again, even if this is closed, we have blocks or clips selected here. Choose this, hit delete. Now I hit play. Nothing's happening. That's because when I deleted that clip, I deleted all the data contained in it. So Control Z, right there it is. So delete, you can see that actually deletes all the data. I'm going to Control Z out of that. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and delete it because I'm going to do something important here. Now we're going to show the foot controller here. Again, you don't have to choose a number first, but we'll just show this because I want to show you another concept here. So let's arm this track. We'll go ahead and record. I'm just going to record in some data so we can see our data being recorded in. Very cool. And then we'll turn the wall off and on. Okay, now we didn't see that being recorded because it's on number 43. And I want to show this right there just so you can see it. Okay. Now this is going to be very important if you're going to be recording data in with a controller. Okay, so let me get rid of this track here. It's not actually sending anywhere, but I'll just remove it for now. So now let's say we've gone through our track and we recorded our wah data up and down, and we want to record all of the 11 rack MIDI data within this one track instead of using different tracks. You can do that. Absolutely no problem doing that, as we saw in the last video. So now I want to go through and I want to turn on and off some of these other effects. No problem, right? Okay. Hit record and let's go ahead and make a pass. 1 bar count off. Gonna start recording. Okay, now I wanted to turn the reverb on. Okay, now hopefully you can see exactly what's happening there. Great. So now I have turned my reverb on and off, or delay on and off. Great. So now I have all my data recorded. And let me take this off. Record, hit play, and well, reverb's working. You see it's coming on. Delay's coming on and off. But what happened to our wah data? Well, as you saw, while we were recording, which is why I showed these lanes, it erased that data. And it's going to erase that data even if it's folded up, even if you remove the lane, it's going to erase that data unless come down here to your transport and make sure you have MIDI merge turned on. So if MIDI merge is on, now let me hit Control Z so we get all of our wah data back. So let's hit play. So there's our wah data. Pretty cool. And our other data should not be there because we backed out of it. So we'll go to 28. Yeah, there's nothing on there. Okay. So now let's go back. And now MIDI merge is on. So now if you had made a pass, say turning distortion on and off, turning mod FX2 on and off, whatever, and now you want to go back and record more data, you can do that. If you don't want to erase that data, make sure you have MIDI merge on. So now when I record, have our 1 bar count off. Okay, so now it's not erasing our data. So reverb on, reverb off, amp on, or amp off, amp on. Okay, stop. And now when we play back, there we go. All of our data has been recorded. There's the reverb on off, amp on off right there, as you can see. All right, so all of that data is still on our track. We did not record over it because we had that MIDI merge turned on. So very important concept. Make sure MIDI merge is turned on if you're, drawing in or recording in your data with a foot pedal and you want to sort of build up your track. I mean, this is an easy way to do it. You could go through and record all the wah data first, then go through and record the distortion on and off data. You can then go through and, record mod data, whatever you want like that. With your board, of course, we can still use, our tools here, which is probably what you're going to do, but it can be very useful to, use a control board after the fact, or again, as we mentioned in the last video, you can do this live. So while you're playing live, just set up a MIDI track, hit record, and all of your changes will be recorded on one MIDI track. You don't have to choose your CC numbers first. They will be, added automatically for you. And then you can just use a drop down and show your lanes. Okay. All right. So I think I've covered almost everything. Just realize that if you record a bunch of data and then say you're on velocity view here, now, it doesn't look like anything because there's no velocity data, but we hit play. Our 11 rack is responding strangely. Doesn't look like there's any data here, or maybe it's on notes. We don't have any note data here. We hit play. It's still responding to all that data we have recorded. We're just not we're just not seeing it. All right. So if that happens to you, realize you need to come up here to clips or blocks, and that shows you, I have some sort of data recorded there. So then you can come down to controllers and you can, step through here and see, okay, so that's why I'm recording. So that's why I'm responding, strangely, and I didn't want to. So then you can come in and delete it, delete just the automation you want, or come to clips here, and let's expand this out. Choose a clip as we already showed, hit delete. That deletes everything. Okay. So I think we've gone over everything. We've gone over that you don't have to choose the CC number first if you're, recording it in with your pedal board. Those numbers will be added for you. We've gone over deleting the clip. We've gone over if you use that minus, it doesn't actually delete it. It just gets rid of that lane. So you will have to reset, set up that lane again if you actually want to see that data. But the data is not gone just by using, that minus sign. I think I deleted it, didn't I? And that, of course, holds true even if you're using something like the pencil tool. So we'll grab the pencil tool, throw that in here on number 4. You see our clip was created for us because we're on clips view on this first view. It could be clips or blocks there, and you can see that. And, that's a great way to move all of your automation. So if all your automation will move with that clip. Okay. So even if I use this minus and then use fold this up, it's still going to respond. Our wah is still going to respond. All right. So just realize that. And then you can always come to controllers and you can say, why is that moving? Well, I know that's number 4. Again, if you don't know it's number 4, you can always check your PDF for all that information. Then you can see, okay, well, that's why I'm responding. All right. All that makes sense, guys. Cool. So now all that data is gone. Hit play. Nothing. Now, one thing to, of course, realize is if you want to record, maybe you want to record all your MIDI data on, let's turn this off of MIDI merge. So you can record all your, say, maybe wah data here. So we'll just call that wah. And this will be, I'm just going to call it other. Okay. But you could call it, distortion or whatever you want. So then we could record just the wah data in one pass on this track. So there we go. Wah data up and down. Cool. Then we can take this off of record and MIDI merge is not on, and we'll just record the other data on this track. Of course, it would have to be set up correctly here. There we go. And then we'll record, and that's not going to erase our other data. So, I can turn my reverb on and off, and you can see that our reverb is coming on and off. The reason we're not seeing anything is because this is on foot controller. So again, don't get confused if you don't see anything. Come here to clips, say, okay, there's the information, and come down to controllers, and you might have to cycle through these to find exactly which one it is. 36. There we go. So that's our reverb on and off. Okay. So you could do it that way, and then you wouldn't have to use MIDI merge. So our foot control data is on this track, and then our reverb data, which was 36, is on that track. So then you wouldn't have to use MIDI merge. You could call this track reverb or whatever you want. You want to make multiple passes, as we already discussed. Then make sure you have that MIDI merge turned on. Okay, a lot of information. Last thing I want to mention that I didn't mention in the last video, let's get our PDF over here. Okay, so sometimes you might see things like, bypass mix, decay, say 36, 18, 38, okay. And then we see this type setting and then value. You might see this in some other parameters as well. Okay, so one thing to realize is, so even like here, like the FX sync 0 to 4, that's not control number data. That is value data. Okay, as you can see, setting values. Now, value is going to be well, I can grab my hand tool. So I'll just click here to make an edit point. This is the value. So as you can see, as I drag up, look over in the corner, you can see 127, there's 0. That's a value setting. All right, so let's go back here to our reverb. So we know type 76. That is actual control data. That's a control CC number for our reverb for the type setting, which I'll turn it on. Here's the type. Okay, that's the type setting that we need. So into Pro Tools, we'll come here, controllers, and we'll just add remove controllers. And we wanted 76. Add it right there. All right, there's 76. We'll go ahead and show that lane. 76. Okay, no data on it right now. Go ahead and hit play. Not seeing anything really happening right now. It is coming on and off because remember we have data down here. So we'll just hit mute just so it's not coming on and off. Cool. All right, so now we can use these other numbers, the value numbers, 0 to 2, 3 to 7, 8 to 13, so on and so forth. We can use that to actually set the type of reverb in our case. So that's the value data. Very important to realize those are not CC numbers. You wouldn't want, okay, so say, if you wanted the small theater, 46 to 50 on the type setting, and then again, the type is 76, that's the CC number. The value for, say, small theater is 46 to 50. You wouldn't want to come in here and then say controllers, add remove controllers, and then look for, 46 to 50. That's not going to change the type because that's not the kind of data that it's going to respond to. Okay. So we'll just show this here. I'll just grab a pencil tool, or I'll just grab my hand. We'll throw this down to 0. Then here we'll change it up to 15, which 15 makes it a little bigger. 15 would be the jazz club. As you can see, it's somewhere between 14 and 18. Any of those would work. Okay, and then next, maybe we want to change it, say right here to 102. And we'll check over here. 102 would be our medium plate. All right, so now we'll see this. So remember, the CC number is on 76. Our values, we can just click and see, are 0, 15, and 102. And those correspond to the value numbers here. 0, 15, what was it, 102? Yeah, okay, so now I'll just hit play, and you'll see this type change. So we'll just hit play. You can see right there, the type is changing. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that is all I wanted to mention, things I didn't mention in the last video. If there's anything else that you don't think was 100% clear, just leave me a comment. Let me know. I'll make a video to make sure it's clear for everyone. Okay, a lot of stuff you can do with automation and the 11 rack, and of course also with program changes, so be sure to watch that video as well. So automation with the 11 rack, really cool, really powerful, the things that you can do, whenever you know what you're doing. And of course, don't forget you can actually draw in your automation. We use the board a lot here, but of course you can draw that automation in as well. Really cool stuff. Be sure to watch that last video because I go through step by step of exactly what I'm setting up here, go through all the tools that you need, go through, where to find all the CC numbers, how to search them out, and, how to find the numbers on the 11 rack itself. And, we haven't covered everything at all. There are so many different things you can do. Like, you can even switch your rig input using a certain number. We could get, we could really get into the weeds, going to multiple effects and setting up a bunch of different effects here. Like this, and then automating our position. I believe our position is 11. So if we went to 11, so we have this on 11 there, which that is the number, and we have our multi-effects here. Okay, I just drew a line in here. We're controlling, the amp, the gain, the volume pedal, volume, multi-chorus, the rate, controlling all of that with this one automation. So if I hit play here, you can see there's our gain. Here's our volume pedal, and come back over here. We had multi-chorus, the rate. So you can see that's switching now. All of that, we're controlling all of that using the multi-effects, which again, the pedal position number is 11. You can find that in the PDF. It's the multi-effects. And you can set up a lot of things in here to do a lot of cool stuff. If you have a lot of, distortion is going to go up a certain rate at the same time. You're going to have chorus come up at a certain rate. You can program all of that in your multi-effects here. Just choose the correct, parameters. And then you can draw all that in with just say one line or two lines or something. Or of course you can find the CC numbers for everything and, draw that out through multiple lanes or multiple MIDI tracks as we showed in the last video. But that's a bunch of other stuff that you can use to automate your 11 rack, your effects, your amps, rake input, multiple effects there. A bunch of other stuff you can use to really control the 11 rack, have your DAW control your 11 rack. Again, we're using Pro Tools, but all these concepts will be exactly the same for any DAW that you're using. Just consult your manual for how automation works in your DAW of choice.